Kevin, otherwise known as Forum BX257, here to bring our old G.I. Joe toy review, and in fact, the last of my redos of my top 10 favorite G.I. Joe figures. I've saved my personal best for last. It's the G.I. Joe Laser Rifle Trooper, the 1982 and 1983 versions of Flash. Flash was first available, along with all the other 9 G.I. Joes and 2 Cobras, in 1982, and updated in 1983 and 1984 with swivel arm battle grip. Flash first appears in the very first issue of G.I. Joe. Unfortunately, he doesn't get a lot of love. He makes a lot of background appearances for the first 2 years, but he doesn't really have a lot of key moments in any of the particular story arcs. He makes his first appearance in the cartoons in the first G.I. Joe miniseries, 1983, A Real American Hero, the 5-part series, in the very first part. Interestingly enough, because all the characters used lasers, he was designated as a flamethrower, obviously because Blowtorch had not yet come out. Now, Flash is actually very important to me because he is, in fact, the very first G.I. Joe I bought with my own money. I had G.I. Joes before as gifts, very few of them. But G.I. Joes had always appealed to me because of I guess their more realistic nature, and the army green was so kind of cool to me. And he does have army green. He has a base of like an army green outfit. But on top of that, he has these very vibrant, very eye-catching orange pads, which don't really overwhelm his outfit or his look. And I think other G.I. Joes and even other toys right beside him, I think at 350, with the amount of articulation and the great amount of accessories they came with, this was very appealing for a kid with basically only $4 in his pocket anyway. If it wasn't for Flash, I probably wouldn't have the impetus as an adult to go to like toy shows and look in collector magazines for mail order. It was all mail order back then. There wasn't very much online stuff in the very early 90s. But this was really the first figure which I actually went out and tried to find, and in fact became a collector mostly because of trying to find and trying to collect more G.I. Joes in the same series. Now, Flash is more recognizable as the name of a certain speedy superhero, but I get what Hasbro was trying to do. Flash being, like the flash of a laser, or even as a nickname for Flash Gordon, because of his kind of a science fiction nature, I suppose. 1982 straight arm figures refer to the articulation being only at the elbow. However, Hasbro introduced swivel arm battle grip, which is now a bit of articulation just below the bicep. That wasn't the only thing that they changed from the 1982 to 1983 versions of the same character. As you notice, the waist pieces are also quite a bit thicker on the old 82 versions and quite a bit slimmer, and unfortunately a bit more fragile on the 83 versions. That wasn't the only change that they made from the 82 to 83 transition, but I'll get to that in a second. Flash is unfortunately sometimes mixed up by people who are unfortunately not 100% familiar with G.I. Joes with Grand Slam, and I'll admit, yes, the molds are the same, and of course they both have helmets and visors, so it's fairly easy to see where that confusion comes in. However, Grand Slam has a much darker base green, as well as black gloves and black boots, whereas Flash has brown. Flash comes with his XMLR 1A shoulder-fired laser rifle, has a permanently attached wire, and which is attached to his Power Pack backpack. Just has a little hole on the left side. Fortunately, because it's on the left side, it's fairly easier to put the laser rifle in his left hand as opposed to stretching out all the way across the backpack and putting it into his right hand, but you can still do that. It's not impossible. The backpack itself is all fairly detailed, and so is the laser rifle. Well detailed and utilitarian looking in its design, even though it's pretty much a fantasy item. Flash also comes with his helmet. It's a standard helmet, actually, used by many of the 1982 figures. It also comes with a removable and clear visor, which is also fairly easy to pop off and lose. The other thing that is a change between the 82 and 83 figures is, of course, the backpack. Now, the backpack looks fairly similar, obviously, but on the 83 versions, you'll notice that the back peg is actually quite a bit longer and rounded at the top, whereas the originals were kind of short and very flat. That means the actual back of the figure actually has a wider hole there, and thus you really can't put an 83 backpack into an 82 figure. And obviously it's an 82 backpack on an 83 figure's back is also fairly loose. This is also fairly common to mix up, especially if you have both 82 and 83 versions of the same character. Now, someone had asked me whether the peg ends on the laser rifles were different. Unfortunately, to the naked eye, they look exactly the same, but I would say the 82 versions, I think, have either a smaller peg or a bigger hole on the backpacks. I can't really tell you which. Flash was kind of replaced by Sci-Fi, the 1986 laser rifle trooper. Now, as you can see, some people, of course, have a problem with Sci-Fi's rather loud costume. However, essentially, he is basically the same character. He has a base outfit with pads over that, and of course a power pack and a laser rifle and an attachment wire, just like Flash did. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.